From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahmed Ramadan. Our top story for today: in a sweeping move, the Trump administration has halted more than 10,000 civil rights investigations in schools and colleges. These involve critical issues such as disability access, sexual harassment, and racial discrimination. Since President Donald Trump's return to office, the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has initiated about 20 new investigations. This is a stark decrease from the 110 cases opened during the same period in the Biden administration. The new cases focus on eliminating gender-neutral bathrooms, banning transgender athletes from women's sports, and addressing alleged discrimination against white students. Historically, most investigations began after complaints from students or their families. Now, the administration is directing which cases to pursue, sidelining public-initiated complaints. Employees report being instructed to cancel meetings and avoid communication with those involved in previous cases. This shift has left thousands of students' complaints unresolved, raising concerns about the future of civil rights protection in education. The Trump administration has begun firing thousands of federal workers as part of its plan to cut government spending. Several federal agencies have terminated probationary employees, including the Department of Education, Energy, and Veterans Affairs. The Office of Personnel Management confirmed the move, saying probationary periods are not guarantees of permanent jobs. The mass dismissals follow a voluntary resignation buyout that saw 77,000 federal workers leave. However, this is only 3% of the administration's target. Experts predict more than 200,000 federal jobs may be cut. The American Federation of Government Employees, or the AFGE, has slammed the firings, calling them politically motivated rather than performance-based. The AFGE president, Everett Kelly, accused the administration of gutting federal agencies and silencing workers. Elon Musk, leading the new Department of Government Efficiency, is also targeting agencies like USAID for staff cuts. 14 states have sued President Donald Trump and Elon Musk, arguing that the tech billionaire's role in government is unconstitutional. The lawsuit, led by New Mexico, claims Musk's authority as head of the Department of Government Efficiency violates the Constitution since he was never confirmed by the Senate. It argues that Musk wields unchecked power to eliminate government jobs and restructure departments, which undermines constitutional principles. The states also stress that no unelected individual should control executive decisions at this scale. The lawsuit seeks to block Musk and his team from altering government contracts, public funds, and personnel. States also want to prevent Musk from accessing or modifying federal data. Analysts say the case raises serious questions about the executive power and Musk's unprecedented influence over government operations. House Republicans have pushed their budget plan forward, rejecting Democratic efforts to protect Medicaid and food benefits. After a 12-hour session, the House Budget Committee passed the GOP resolution in a 21-16 party line vote. Democrats proposed more than 30 amendments to safeguard health care and nutrition programs for low-income Americans, but all were blocked. The GOP budget slashes more than $1 trillion from Medicaid and SNAP, which provide health care and food aid to millions. These cuts help fund tax breaks benefiting the wealthiest Americans. Democrats warned the plan will harm seniors, children, and people with disabilities. Progressives slammed the move, saying the GOP is shifting resources from essential programs to the rich. The budget is a step towards a larger Republican reconciliation package, but House and Senate Republicans must first align their strategies. If passed, this plan could reshape federal spending, cutting key services while offering massive tax breaks to the ultra-wealthy. Protesters interrupted a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing on Thursday focusing on the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. The The committee was examining the Trump administration's funding freeze on the agency. Protesters chanting, "Restore funding," and "Trump kills people with USAID" worldwide. They were escorted out of the hearing, with one police officer saying, "Get out." While Democrats said the administration's dismantling of the agency was illegal, Republicans criticized USAID, claiming it is wasting taxpayers' dollars on what it called woke initiatives. A group of Democratic inspectors unveiled a bill on Tuesday to protect the agency from being eliminated by the Trump administration. President Donald Trump initiated the shutdown of USAID's operations following suggestions from tech billionaire Elon Musk, who Trump has named head of the Department of Government Efficiency. A civil rights group has sued Meta, accusing it of racial discrimination in its ad targeting. A lawsuit from the Equal Rights Center, or ERC, claims that Meta promoted for-profit colleges to black users while showing public universities to white users on Facebook and Instagram. For-profit colleges often charge higher fees and offer fewer job prospects. ERC argues this practice violates the District of Columbia's Human Rights Act and Consumer Protection Procedures Act. The group says Meta collects user data, including race-related information, from the ACT college exam site to target ads. ERC claims this strategy has harmed black communities by limiting their exposure to affordable education options. The organization says Meta's practices put black users at an economic disadvantage. ERC's lawsuit also accuses Meta of deceptive advertising, alleging it misrepresented its ad system as fair and beneficial. The lawsuit seeks a jury trial and a halt to Meta's current marketing tactics. Meta, which uses behavioral marketing tools, claims its ads are based on user interests. Civil rights groups, including the American Civil Liberties Union, argue that this practice of digital redlining is a modern form of discrimination. They are demanding stronger accountability for tech companies engaging in such practices. 350 Jewish leaders condemn Trump's Gaza plan in a New York Times ad. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to This Hijabi Life. Today we've been talking to Alex from Awiya and Alexandra Healing.
I always wondered, what is life? Why do people die? What's going on? Why are there people who suffer so much? So I started going into Islam and learning about Islam, and alhamdulillah, I became Muslim.
People come to Islam because of the clarity that it gives us.
This person not wearing a turban or just not wearing hijab might be more religious than you are.
Awiya is now a platform where you empower Muslim women-owned businesses with this amazing list.
Went from fashion to business somehow. And I realized I really wanted to go into holistic route, and so I started acupuncture. I was very lucky to go to China and study there.
As a Muslimah, we all know in the power of dua and reading Quran and things like that.
Yeah, we are Awiya. We are strong women.
Every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Muslim Network TV.
Welcome back. More than 350 Jewish leaders, creatives, and activists have condemned President Donald Trump's proposal to expel all Palestinians from Gaza in a full-page New York Times ad. The ad, which was published on Thursday, is entitled "Jewish People Say No to Ethnic Cleansing." It calls Trump's proposal morally unacceptable, drawing historical parallels to past atrocities. Rabbi Tobai Spitz likened the idea to Nazi Germany's attempts to rid the country of Jews. Rabbi Yosef Berman compared Trump to Pharaoh, accusing him of playing God with global affairs. Other signatories include playwright Tony Kushner, comedian Ilana Glazer, actor Joaquin Phoenix, and journalist Peter Beinart. Glazer urged all those who value human rights to take a stand, emphasizing the need to protect Palestinian land and lives. Cody Edgerly of an In Our Name campaign stressed the urgency of opposing the plan, assuring Palestinians they are not alone. Beinart, a prominent journalist and commentator, criticized American Jewish leaders for supporting the proposal, calling it one of the greatest crimes of the 21st century. Lebanese authorities prevented an Iranian plane from landing at Rafiq al-Hariri International Airport in Beirut. Local media reports that protesters waving Hezbollah flags blocked the main road to the airport to protest government action. Protesters also set tires ablaze at the entrance to the airport amid chants of support for former Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah, who was killed in an Israeli airstrike last September. The Lebanese daily An-Nahar said dozens of Lebanese passengers were left stranded at Tehran airport after an Iranian Airlines flight was unable to take off. There was no immediate comment from Lebanese authorities. Earlier, Israeli army spokesman Avichai Adrahi claimed Hezbollah and Iran's Quds force used the Beirut airport to smuggle funds intended for arming Hezbollah. A similar incident took place on January 3rd, when Lebanese airport authorities subjected an Iranian plane carrying a diplomatic delegation to a detailed search. The Israeli military has again violated the ceasefire with Lebanon by bombing several sites in the southern part of the country. A military statement said the sites house stockpiles of missiles, rockets, mortar shells, grenades, explosives, and firearms. Lebanese state news agency NNA reports the burning of several houses by Israeli forces in the border towns of Kafr Kalla and Odessa. While Israeli forces often claim to target weapons stockpiles, groups like Human Rights Watch have documented repeated airstrikes on civilian areas, often with no evidence of military targets. In August 2024, an Israeli airstrike in Nabatea killed 10 Syrian civilians, including a woman and her 2 children. Israel said it hit a Hezbollah weapons site, but locals described the area as a civilian industrial zone. A fragile ceasefire has been in place since November 27, ending months of mutual shelling between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon that escalated into a full-scale conflict last September. Under the ceasefire deal, Israel was supposed to complete its withdrawal from southern Lebanon by January 26. However, the deadline was extended to February 18th after Israel refused to comply. As the new deadline approaches, Israel has signaled further delays. Lebanon has reported more than 900 Israeli ceasefire violations, killing 73 and injuring 265 others since November 27. Israel's military operations in Lebanon have killed 4,104 people and injured 16,890, including women and children. They have also displaced around 1.4 million people since October 2023. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum has warned of possible legal action against Google for renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. The change followed President Donald Trump's executive order on his first day in office. Despite Mexico's diplomatic protests, Google and Apple updated their maps to reflect the new name. Sheinbaum revealed that Google dismissed Mexico's objections, prompting her government to consider filing a civil lawsuit. She argues that renaming affects areas outside the U.S. jurisdiction, including Mexican and Cuban waters. If they continue, we will take legal action, Sheinbaum asserted, emphasizing that the decision impacts Mexico's territorial rights. Mexico's legal team is assessing the case as tensions rise over what Sheinbaum says is an encroachment on Mexico's sovereignty. A Bangladeshi political party has filed a case against former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, accusing her of being responsible for 848 deaths during last year's anti-government protests. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party, led by former Prime Minister Khalida Zia, filed the case with the International Crimes Tribunal. Hasina fled to India on August 5th as mass protests escalated. The tribunal has issued 2 arrest warrants against her. It is also seeking an Interpol Red Notice, which is a request to law enforcement around the world to locate and temporarily detain a person wanted by a judicial authority or international tribunal. Several former ministers and senior police officials from Hasina's government also face charges. The BNP has submitted evidence, including videos and case reports, demanding justice. Zia, a longtime political rival of Hasina, was jailed during her Hasina's rule. The UN estimates that up to 1,400 people were killed and 22,000 injured in the protests last summer, raising concerns over serious human rights violations. Hasina's government collapsed, and Nobel laureate Mohammed Yunus took charge as head of the transitional government on August 8th. Meanwhile, a national commission has been formed to address political reform. Police in the capital of Indian-occupied Kashmir, Srinagar, have seized 668 books linked to Jamaat al-Islami. The organization was banned by India in the region 5 years ago. The books written by or about thinker Abul Ala Maududi, the group's founder, were confiscated in a raid on major bookstores. Authorities said legal action has begun under the law, which allows intervention to prevent a breach of peace. Jamaat al-Islami Kashmir was banned in 2019, months before the Indian government stripped the region of its long-standing autonomous status. The ban was extended last year for another 5 years. Despite some members contesting recent Kashmir elections, the group remains under strict scrutiny. Jamaat al-Islami was once accused of links to Hizbul Mujahideen, a major militant group, though it later distanced itself from militancy. The group calls for a UN-mediated peaceful resolution to the Kashmir dispute. Authorities say they remain firm on cracking down on any perceived activities of the group. The suspect in a Munich car ramming attack had terror motives, but no links to extremist networks, German authorities said. The 24-year-old Afghan, who arrived in Germany as an asylum seeker in 2016, drove his Mini Cooper into a labor union protest on Thursday, injuring 36 people. 2 victims remain in critical condition. Police arrested him after firing at his car. During questioning, he admitted to deliberately hitting demonstrators, citing religious reasons. Investigators found no ties to radical groups, but his social media posts included religious content. A chat message hinted he might not be there tomorrow, but no evidence of premeditation has emerged. The suspect, who has no criminal record, is being investigated for 36 counts of attempted murder. The attack comes amid heightened tension over immigration ahead of Germany's February 23 election. President Frank-Walter Steinmeier condemned the act, laying flowers at the scene. The incident occurred just before the high-security Munich Security Conference. A new study reveals that hate speech on X surged by 50% in the months following Elon Musk's takeover of the social media platform. Research published in PLOS One, a peer-reviewed open-access mega-journal by the Public Library of Science, contradicts X claims that exposure to hate speech had decreased. The study tracked posts from October 2022 to May 2023, showing a sustained rise in hate speech, including racist, homophobic, and transphobic slurs. Engagement with such content also increased by 70%, highlighting its growing reach. Despite Musk's pledge to combat spam bots, researchers found no significant reduction in inauthentic activity on X. They warned that unchecked hate speech and bot presence can fuel real-world harm and deepen social divisions. A separate study also found environmentalists' presence on X dropped by nearly 50% post-Musk, raising alarms for conservation efforts. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.